You know, for years, Roger Greenhough felt incomplete, never knowing who his real mother and father were. In 1985, Roger found his natural mother in Manchester, England, not far from where he lived. He then set out to find his father, his only clue being that the man lived here in Massachusetts. Roger's search ended happily yesterday afternoon at Logan Airport. Roger has finally found the family he waited so long to meet. As he and his children arrived in Boston, they were welcomed by his newly found brother and sisters. It's fun to look at that footage. And this morning, we have the reunited family, many of them, here with us to share the remarkable story. First, meet Roger Greenhough. Roger, good morning, and
hello.
Congratulations to
Hello.
you. It's great, isn't it? And next to you, Eleanor Miller Lano, who
Yes.
is your sister, half-sister.
Yes.
Eleanor, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Sarah Miller, another sister, and Bud Miller, Roger's brother. How are all of you feeling? Euphoric, or kind of let all this settle in before we can figure it out?
Well, after the last item, I think we really are the family part of the show, you know. So we're very pleased.
This is true. And we're grateful for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, right up front, there's a lot of euphoria in this, you know, and it's a bit cosmic. So we're all sitting here being studiously underwhelmed by this. You know,
And
now,
last night, when you saw your father, what was the reaction?
Well, it was astonishing, really, because I was mindful of the fact that his health is not too good, and it seemed to me that for even people of a robust constitution, experiences like this don't come along all that often. And I suppose with it being his 71st birthday, he could have been forgiven for thinking that he'd done it all and seen it all and there's nothing fresh. And he must have been on the receiving end, not only of me coming here, but all these other sort of fully paid up members of the human race in this lovely place last night. And I mean, he just took it, you know, just right in his stride. And this morning, the picture on the front page of the Globe, I mean, it just looks as though he's the cat who's got the cream, you know. And
What did he say to you, Roger?
He said some things that were just nice and jokey and easy, which is what it just should be. I mean, nobody's putting in their thigh waders and wading in. There's a lot of heavy stuff right now. But he also said, I've got to talk to you a lot. You're going to find out a lot, which is another big part of the reason why I'm here for the first time in my life in America.
And you're here through the 5th of July, and you've got your 2 children with you. And
Yeah.
how have they taken to this?
Well, I mean, for them to come to America is just a fantastic thing to happen anyway. But then in the context of this quite extraordinary life-enhancing experience as well, I mean, they're being all sort of Joe Cool about it and so on, but they're loving it.
Take
Absolutely.
us back. 1971, you had an eye-opening experience. 2 loving adoptive parents, and something happened that let you know that this was part of your life.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you emphasized the fact, because I wouldn't want anything in this experience for anybody who might be on the receiving end of it. You're very nice viewers, I'm sure, out here, to think that there's anything in this implicitly critical of the quality of adoptive parents at all. And there certainly isn't. But the particular experience that you're talking about was that my mother became increasingly disabled by rheumatoid arthritis. So whenever I went back home from college to visit, she used to like me to hoover and clean in places that she couldn't get at so well. And I was cleaning along the top of a wardrobe with a tool attachment on the end of a vacuum cleaner, and I knocked off this little tin box, like a little cash box, and it fell on the floor and it fell open, and there was only one piece of paper inside, and it was just a piece of paper in a court, an adoption court in the northwest of England, just giving the date and my name and saying I was adopted, and that's the first I knew.
But oddly enough, you'd always felt rootless and different.
Certainly there were negative elements in the first half of my life, right back from my earliest memories, and I can't actually remember very much about my life at all before the age of 5 years old. But words like that, of a sort of sense of rootlessness, of not belonging, the sort of words that are naturally thrown up by my thinking about it.
Eleanor, Roger puts an ad in the Globe saying, you know, with his picture, wasn't it? With your picture, and you saw it. And what was your reaction? Did you know automatically this was your half-brother?
I think I didn't until I saw the picture. And when I saw the picture of Roger, he looked like my father 30 years ago. I mean, the likeness was amazing.
So you called Sarah?
Called Sarah right away.
And what did you do, Sarah?
We just went back and forth over the phone. I kept asking her, do you think it's our brother? And she said, do you think it's our brother? I said, well, ask your husband if he thinks it's our brother-in-law.
Now, you had you had no idea that your father had had a son while he was fighting in World War II. No idea. So what did you do? You picked up the phone in the middle of the night, didn't you?
I'm the impulsive one. I couldn't let it alone. I'm curious, and I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to know.
So you called him? And woke him
I
up?
I said, I think I'm your sister. I have reason to believe. I said, I'm your sister. I don't know what I said. I kept apologizing it because I woke him up. And he said, don't worry about it. This is great. This is great. And he said, you made my day at the end of the conversation. And I agreed. Called my sister back. And I said, we got to get a hold of Dad. This is what Roger had asked us to do. Can you see your father tomorrow? And it just all went into motion.
How are you feeling about this, Bud?
I feel real good about it.
Is this your only brother?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Never having had a brother, it's real exciting. I have a lot of different feelings about it, and it's just such an extraordinary thing that's happened that it's hard sometimes to get in touch with it, but
I'm sure you will over time get in touch with it.
it's new right now.
Sure.
And,
yeah, I hope you all find love with each other. How did your natural mother, your biological mother, take to meeting you 2 months ago?
She was really great. She's a very easygoing, upfront lady, and I had to be mindful of the fact that maybe people's memories of these experiences and the war and so on were not altogether comfortable. And I walked in and she said, "Hello, Peter," because that's the name that she gave me on the day that I was born, but she only had me for about 8 or 9 days. But she just called me Peter as naturally as anything, and she said, you've been Peter on my mind every 5th of February for the last 43 years. And I like to think, certainly my own response to her feelings and what she said about this experience is that it has been in some way cathartic. She has carried some memories and feelings that were not altogether easy, and this whole thing has given a very good sense of ease about all the memories now.
Do you have a sense it's completed the pie of life for a lot of folks?
Yeah, sure. And I think there's a lot of richness still underneath the surface of the pie. We're enjoying the top of the crust now, and it's looking like a good shape and well finished and so on. I think so.
You were telling me in the green room you're determined that the second half of your life is different than the first.
In certain important respects. I mean, I'm more or less pleased with who I am. Everybody falls a little bit short of perfect, But
He's always.
no, there have been elements in the first part of my life which I don't think are unique to myself, but I think may well be related to the circumstances of my origins and the circumstances in which I lived in the first part of my life. I think to some extent they created negative elements in my personality, which have contributed to a sort of fairly titanic midlife crisis over the last 2 or 3 years in one way or another.
Maybe this will settle you down.
And this is part of the process of, getting on the man for the second innings or whatever, so I can hardly wait.
I'm really glad for you, Roger, and I bet you're glad you were reading the Globe that day and saw
Yes.
that picture. It's terrific. I wish you all the best of luck, and give your father our best, will you?
Yes.
And thanks, Roger. Lovely
Thanks so
meeting
much.
you.